Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Long Run Show live. We were just having the best conversation about on Strava, right? And we're going to come back to that, boys. So don't lose those thoughts that you were telling me, all right? Because we are coming back to that. But today we're going to be talking about is parkrun too crowded? And I think it's going to be a great discussion. I've had, and I mean loads of DMs about is parkrun too crowded today. And you can still vote on my Instagram at FORDY_runs because we record this live because we're stupid and we don't care. You can go over to my Instagram now and still vote. Okay. So you've got however long our story that we were talking about before we came on here continues for to vote. Okay. And then I'm going to read some of the DMs out today because it's super interesting about this topic. And I didn't realize that it would cause so much engagement, which is great, right? So anyway, welcome everybody. As I said, this is the Long Run Show. This is our award-winning podcast that we record twice a week. This week I'm joined by my friends. We've got Al down there. Coach Al is joining us this week. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We've got Wilco up there and Benny Boy's down there probably doing some walking.
Evening.
Hayden was meant to be here, but he can't because he's having a spray tan tonight because he's got Chelmsford Marathon and he wants to look good. Yeah, that's what he said. So that's why he's not here. If you was expecting him, we've got to give a shout out to Cooper. If you want some help with your training, use the Cooper app. It's the one we recommend. Get over to fordyruns.com/Cooper. You get 20% off and a free trial, which is really nice. Don't forget, you Start Fitness, everybody. Everyone keeps asking me about shoes for Marathon Day. The big races are coming your way, people. So make sure you head over to Start Fitness and use the code 40 rounds for a cheeky discount. And if you want to do some fueling, like I nearly forgot, I literally just got these out. No bullshit. Boys, Beach Fair, I just got them out because I just said I was going to forget them. I'm holding up some Kendall mint gels for my race on Sunday. And you can use the code 40 rounds there and you're going to get a discount there. Right, boys. So just quickly, are we all right?
Yeah, we're good. Apart from my dislocated shoulder.
Oh, what? How have you done that?
It's been one of those crazy penguins. We did so many high fives. Yeah, I dislocated my shoulder.
Oh, by the way, big news. And I want to get on to Tokyo in just a sec. But big news. Hayden messaged me this week. And of the stuff that I can, the pictures he does send me that I can tell you about because the others I can't. But the one he did send me was of a video that London Marathon events have got or putting out, right?
Yes, yeah.
And it's about the volunteering. And I have to say, right, it honestly stopped me in my tracks. It's about 2 minutes long, but about a minute and a half of it is basically an advert for 40 runs and all the amazing people, including Al.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. It is a really good video. Actually.
Unbelievable, isn't it, Al?
Yeah. Really captures what the volunteering is all about.
Thank you. And based on that, I just want to give a shout out. If you are listening to this and you're not part of the 40 Runs community or club, and that's free to join, by the way, and you're very welcome to join us. But if you're interested in not necessarily the running side of things, but the volunteering, we're currently looking for volunteers to join us at the Brighton Marathon. We've got some extra spaces down there. We're going to be on the finish line at the Brighton Marathon, handing out T-shirts. So imagine your other half is running the Brighton Marathon. You could be giving him, her, she, he, their finishers T-shirt.
Or me.
Yeah. There is obviously that downside. But you could, so you get involved, people. You can do that. Just drop us it's probably easy if I just say drop us an email, hello@fordyruns.com. We've also got some other volunteering spaces coming up, like Hackney and stuff.
Yeah, so there's obviously the London Marathon events, Manchester Marathon on the same day, Brighton Marathon's coming up. We've also now got a partnership with Motive, so I think that covers Hackney Half we're recruiting for. That's coming up quite soon. So, yeah, there's loads of opportunities and you really have a fun day. You really do. The thing that struck me about volunteering on Sunday at the 10K was how many people veered off course with a smile on their face to come and grab a high five. And that was just so awesome to see.
I did it. I didn't see you, Al, because I was high-fiving everybody on the other side.
So that was left shoulder for Jan Allison. And
that's it. I went down there, and obviously Hayden was behind me because he was a lot slower than me on Sunday. And he came down the other side, and I think, did he get you?
Yes.
Yeah. So we sort of almost tag teamed you all. It was brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah, I went down the left wing.
Yeah, I went down the left wing.
I stayed on the right side of the road, so apologies to anyone I might miss.
It was fantastic. Thanks to everybody who's joining us live. Like I said, we do record these shows live, and we love to see people's interactions. So, Al, do you want to look after that tonight in terms of what's going on in there? Is that all right with you?
Yeah, we can do. Everyone's just saying hi. Yeah. Hi, everyone.
So, yeah, get your comments in there. Again, we're going to be talking about, is parkrun too crowded? You can still get involved and vote. Go over to my Instagram, 40_runs, and you can vote on that. But, yeah, get your comments, get your questions. We'll try and pick some of that up as we go through the show. I do want to give a shout out before we sort of move on to a little bit of parkrun and continue that Strava conversation. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's gone to Tokyo. We've got quite a few of the club who's gone out there. And I put an Instagram post up today. I don't know if you saw it. I'm using Instagram less and less at the moment now because it's just basically all it is like people, brands, and all this stuff going, oh yeah, look at us, this and that community, and it's just all bollocks basically, and it's quite draining. But the reason I put it on there is because it was actually what community really stands for. So again, it's a marketing hot term because one is so fashionable. Everyone's got a community, everyone's got this, it's all bollocks, right? It's all about selling stuff. But what was so amazing from that post that I put up on my Instagram was we got 3 lovely ladies who are in Tokyo. So I think it's fair to say the other side of the world. From 3 different locations. We've got Surrey, Southend, and China. One of the lady groups in China. They've all gone and met in Tokyo, and they were out together before the marathon. And that's through the power of 40 Runs Running Club. It's absolutely amazing. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to say, I'm just trying to stop everybody and think about that for a second. It's incredible. So again, Al, you talk about the volunteers, but I want to give a shout out to our satellite leaders, our committee, everybody involved with the club, every member of the club, every member of the community that makes it so awesome that we see things like that occurring naturally and organically. I think it's incredible and it's inspiring. Ben, did you see my post? I'm talking.
I did. I think I gave it a cheeky like.
Or was you out walking at the time?
Ooh, it's not on Strava, so no, I wasn't.
Don't tell lies. But it is true, though, isn't it? It's inspiring to see stuff like that take place from within. It's absolutely. So I just wanted to wish everybody who's doing Tokyo. I mean, have a good luck to everybody, whatever you do this weekend. But our Tokyo Warriors, good luck. Now, that conversation we was having just before we came live on air. All right, I literally stopped them. I had to sort some stuff out, and then I stopped them mid-conversation. Just hold that thought. So before we came on, we was talking about Strava, and again, get in the comments and get involved. What do you classify and what do you class is okay to put on Strava? Right. I noticed today, and I was in absolute disarray. A friend of mine who used to be a good runner and used to run like 2:56 at marathons, 3-hour marathons and stuff like that. He puts the fact that he's walking his dog on Strava just to get his miles up. So when I see him at the weekend, he can turn around and go, oh, yeah, I've done 40 miles this week. Actually, net, he's done about 10. Most of it's walking the dog. All right. Now, I'm not going to name him because it's not very nice. But you guys were then telling me a story about somebody we know who's putting on the fact that they were in the ice bath on Strava. Now, I could be called the same thing because I put on there, and I genuinely didn't realize this goes to Strava. In the gym on whatever day it was this week, I did some time on the bike, right? But to know how long I was on the bike, I used my Garmin, right? That's what that actually synced my Strava, which I wasn't expecting. So now technically I'm in the same boat as
No, I think that's completely acceptable, mate. I think that's all right.
Well, hold on. So what? He's allowed to put his bike ride at the gym that didn't go anywhere.
Warm-up bike ride, but it wasn't even anything specific.
Warm-up. But someone who is out physically walking, potentially your friend, whoever this may be,
his dog. He's walking his dog. But he's using that to track miles.
No.
Right. Okay. I'll throw something in. Mr. Ford on his bike in the gym. That is the focus of the activity, is riding the bike. The focus of the activity when walking the dog is exercising the dog, not exercising you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that person wants to track my friend. Is he my friend too? Maybe that person wants to track how far the dog has walked.
Good point. See,
Oh yeah.
Al, you're the only sensible one here.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on
So-
what is allowed and what is not allowed?
I think. Well, I think I can top trump the conversation we're talking.
No.
Not from me personally, but it's one I have seen, and I think it's genuine. I don't think it's AI generated. But coming back to Strava, obviously has lots of activities, and Garmin has lots of activities. And I think if they're kind of in your field on your watch, it's legit. So cross country skiing, if you're lucky enough to be in Sweden, why not? There's lots of other activities. Paragliding is on there. So I think if it's a defined field by Strava or Garmin, I'd say fine. I'm not sure if ice baths is a defined field, and therefore it might be other. So I'd question what goes on under other. But the best one I ever saw, and I've just checked, so I've just got it up, is 5 hours 37, average heart rate 81 beats per minute, 914 calories burnt, giving birth.
Yes, I saw. Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yes.
Fair play. Fair play.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. So that's allowed.
I don't know.
Okay.
I ain't going to argue, mate.
I
If
tell you
you've ever been in a delivery room, you ain't going to argue about anything.
Yeah, and I'll make you right on that. The other one was interesting. I remember when we did the skydive thing, and because it was part of the skyathlon, so it was like skydive, bike ride, and run. The guys started their watches when they jumped out of the plane, so they had like 5 kilometers straight down in whatever minutes it was.
But that just screws up your averages, doesn't it? Your fastest mile, you're never going to beat that time.
No, because you jumped out of a plane. It's brilliant.
So
here's the thing, right? So can you email in welovestrava@gmail.com and let us know whether walking the dog is allowed on Strava or not?
Where's the proof that it's walking the dog?
Because it
By
says
the
it
way?
on there.
I don't think it does. I think it just says
I'm
evening
gonna go and have a
walk,
look now, my
nighttime
friends.
walk, potentially. Maybe. I don't.
Do you know the person
who we're talking about. To be fair, apparently Darren thinks the person did do a double run day, I believe that they did.
Ben, do you walk the dog on Strava?
Once a day on Strava. The other 2
Yeah.
times,
Did
maybe
you
not.
put it in as a run or do you put it in as a walk?
I put it in as a walk. That would mess up my average if I'm.
It says
See, what
here.
you should do is you should put your Cooper on your Cooper app.
But the point is your mileage is going in to your running mileage.
No, it's not. It goes in as walking mileage. Do you not believe I've done 26.5 running miles this week?
Let's have a look. Oh, that's annoying.
And I've done 8. And I've done 8 walking miles. If it was going in as my running mileage, I would probably not.
That's annoying.
Also, I left my Strava on when I went on the roller coaster mid-marathon. Is that?
No, I think that's allowed. I think that's allowed.
And it still wasn't my fastest mile.
In run activities.
To quote Wilco, the essence of that run was a run. It just happened to have a roller coaster at mile 22.
All right. Okay. All right. Question then: when you're on your run, do you stop it if you need a go toilet?
Depends.
Because you're a lapse
Run or
time.
race.
Yeah, a race. You've got to keep it running, right?
I kept it going when I was in New York when I stopped off mid.
Did you?
Yeah.
You got to. It's a race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Fun,
tend to not worry about it. I just let it run.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Oh, bums if you've got auto pause, that's going to screw it all up, isn't it?
Yeah, and then it doesn't start,
Right.
and then it doesn't start again. What
I
about
know.
massage gun on there?
Yeah, you can do
Are
that.
we allowing that?
I don't know. Emailing people. We need to know. Al, what's in the comments and chats?
This is certainly splitting people right down the middle. So we've got David Long's claiming a McDonald's running the car. Can that go up on Strava?
100%.
We've got a few dog walks. Big Ben did some exercise with his missus this afternoon for 30 seconds.
Oh, there we go. Keep it clean.
Does that count? He said it's exercise, but it was only
Yoga,
lasted
I
30
think.
seconds. So,
Oh God!
and Paul's claiming that he did it twice, apparently. So he did a
Good.
double run.
Oh dear!
So I think we better move on, don't you?
I think we better move on. Al, again, it's a serious business because we do want to talk about parkrun today.
Yeah.
There was the announcement about the GPs and parkrun.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, so I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday. Parkrun and the Royal College of GPs put out a press statement saying parkrun is part of the future. And what that ties into is that the medical profession and the clinicians are looking for ways to promote social prescribing. And social prescribing is a way of helping people's health and well-being, their wellness and their mental health, without the need for going down the route of medication. So parkrun is being seen as an opportunity to do that. Now, if you are, where it really takes us to is, how do you get engaged? Where do you start? And there's other conversations going on that hopefully FORDY runs will be involved in, where we see Couch to 5K as a strong pathway to parkrun, and then parkrun takes you into the running community, and it's a very virtuous circle. So it was good to see parkrun and the GPs talking. The initiative's actually been around for many years, but I think one of the barriers is how do you know if your GP is into that kind of thing? And more importantly, how do the GPs know what activities exist in the local communities? So certainly I've been talking to Hayden about there's got to be a role somewhere for our satellites to get involved in this. So we're exploring that with the doctor that's kind of leading on that initiative.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff, isn't it? As you say, prescribing parkruns. Any sort of exercise, but yeah, parkrun's such a great route into it, isn't it? It's just a fantastic thing. There is a support network within parkrun as well, because the RDs, there's probably a team down there. You get your regulars, and it can just be like a self-fulfilling thing, really, in terms of knocking down some of those barriers that may stop people doing some exercise. That's great news, Al. So let's keep us posted on that one, will you, big boy?
Yeah.
Because I think it's something that we need to definitely push out. Now, it is an interesting story. As I say, we will go on to whether parkrun's too crowded. I found out today that people have been using parkrun for dating. Now, I might be not new to this, but meeting at parkruns for dates and things like that. Wilco, which is something I know, because obviously we did the Valentine's episode, and you admitted to the fact that he's just a lonely old man.
Oi!
Less for the old.
Less for the old, eh?
Yes, the old. Anyway, Wilco, is this something genuinely? Would you consider if you was on not the date apps Ben goes on to, because they're filthy, but if you go on to the if you went onto a dating app and someone said, "I'll meet you at Bushy Parkrun, Wilco, and we'll have a little run and we'll go for coffee and cake," is that the sort of thing that float your boat?
I think that as a first date, that's a good thing. I think it's brilliant. Thing. Yeah,
I genuinely,
because it can be. I know there are sort of like running singles. I think there are sites and things like that where you can do this sort of stuff. And that seems, when. Going on a first date, it's a terribly nerve-wracking thing, and you never know whether you're going to do the right thing. But if you've got someone with a keen interest in something like that, and like a coffee and a walk, going for a run and stuff, I think it's a good idea.
I think it's brilliant. It takes a barrier away, does it? What about, and all jokes aside, Ben, is that something that, if someone said to you, behave yourself tonight, you're in enough trouble for doing walking on Strava. If someone said to you...
Who said it was me?
I don't know, it's a friend of mine. If someone said to you, Ben, should we be a park run, have a bit of thing afterwards? A cake and coffee? I have to remember I'm talking to you. Coffee and cake afterwards? Would that float your boat?
I mean, I would, but you'd be a third wheel, right?
I know when it's. The good thing is, I would know when it's happening.
Can I bring my mate?
Can I bring my really loud, annoying mate with me?
and his camera.
Are you all right being on Instagram?
Exactly. There are other flaws with this, though.
Oh yeah, go on now.
Can you imagine you're kind of having that conversation offline somewhere? There's some app, parkrun dating app, and you go, "How will I recognise you?" "Well, I'll be in my milestone T-shirt," and then kind of. You go, "Oh God, how many hundred milestones are there at the parkrun?"
Yeah, it's like when Marissa's date turns up. I'm the geezer with 3 legs and a wonky eye. There's probably millions of them there.
And do you let them obviously it's a run, it's not a race, but
this is a good question.
Would you let them?
Do you let them win?
Do you let them win?
Parkrun's not a race, Ben.
No, exactly. But there's someone still has to.
Someone's
got to arrive first. I won't say the other.
Go over the line holding hands, or is that too?
But also, someone's going to dictate the pace, aren't they? Somebody's
got
going
to be
to
easy
lead.
pace. It's got to be chatty pace, surely. It's set up for a nice, easy run.
Or Just burn them up.
Yeah, someone's easy pace is another person's marathon pace.
Oh,
right?
it's all getting complicated now.
This is getting far too complicated.
Yeah.
But what I would say is I genuinely think it's a brilliant idea because it does actually break down barriers. They're going to see you probably, in the most unflattering stuff, your gym kit or your running kit or whatever. And you're going to be like, everything's going to be bobbing up and down. It probably shouldn't be. And you're going to probably have like all sweat all over your face and everything. But it's great, isn't it? It's real life. It's natural. You're in a great environment. And I think, was it? Oh yeah, Gemma. Would be a safe space to go on a first date? And again, that's the important thing. It's safe as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought it took me aback. The person who told me about it will know who they are because they told me about it. I said I'd mention it tonight. But yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I really did. It took me, and as I said, for you two single to lonely people, I thought it was. I left the old out. I left the old out.
And the desperate. So
yes, sorry. And Ben's obviously desperate. You can ring on 07878767472. Right, okay. Should I give you the results of the poll before we carry on?
What was the question of the poll?
Oh,
remind us.
Don't tell lies. You've been all over my Instagram all day stalking if I've been walking.
I just didn't vote.
Right, so I put on my Instagram today. Is parkrun now too busy? ? Or should I give you some context first while I put this up?
I think you should.
Okay, let me go back. So you're gonna have 3 minutes to vote at 40_runs. Okay. I take you back a week. Go back in time. Bear with me. It's like a story. So Ben said to me, 40, I'm really lazy. I want to get out of bed late. I've got to go breakfast or something. Can you come over to Watford and we'll do parkrun over there? And I was like, oh, what a pain in the ass. I just come back from holiday. So I thought, all right, I'll make the trip. Because to be fair to him, 9 times out of 10, I make him travel, right? So in fairness. And he said, we'll go Cassenbury Parkrun. Anyone been to Cassenbury? Al, you done Cassenbury?
No, I haven't actually, no.
Listen to this story. Wilco?
I haven't done a parkrun, but it's where the half does. Yeah.
I've done the parkrun there a couple of times. Really enjoyed it. Okay. And as you say, it's where the Watford half is, and it's a nice little park. The little park's quite big, but it's a nice park, and you can do some mileage beforehand. That was the plan, right? So I got there really early as always. Ben wasn't, and then so we went for a run beforehand. Got some miles in beforehand. Really nice, but it'd just been raining, so the ground area was a bit slippery, and they start it on grass, and I wouldn't personally start it on the grass in that time of year because, to be fair, Ben, I'm not digging them out because
it's an uphill grass bit as well. To put that into context,
FORDY's there, the volunteers, they're amazing, yeah, really amazing people at this parkrun. Okay, big shout out. They put on a great parkrun event. Okay. But I wouldn't have started it on the grass. I would have probably made a call and started it on the path, but they may not be allowed to do that for whatever reason. Okay, so that's only, my health and safety brain kicking in. But they started you on the grass, and you kind of line up mini sort of bushy style. So think about it like that. And everybody starts, and obviously everyone's trying to get onto the path quickly because the paths are really narrow. They're probably wide enough for 4 people max, probably 3 to be fair. Yeah. So it becomes a real pinch point. So people usually get out. Those who want to go a bit quicker, get out in front, and everybody else just takes a relaxed view. Now, I was in stupid shoes. I was in a pair of Adidas shoes that had no grip on them. So I had to basically walk to get onto the path, which again, I wasn't, that's not the problem. But for me, it was becoming plainly obvious that I was going to be not where I would normally be running. And I was in a pack of people. Now, anybody who knows me and knows that I'm a neurodivergent, that's probably the worst place that you could put me. All right. So I'm struggling in sensory overload already. I'm panicking because I've got people all around me. I can hear noises of shoes, people talking. Everyone's too close to me, which is something I really don't like as I say, as a neurodivergent. I think everybody knows that, okay, in terms of how I am as a human being. So I found myself getting very stressed and very agitated. Not by the people around me, but because of the situation, because my brain couldn't handle the sensory overload that was going on around. I actually stopped after about half a mile and walked off because I couldn't handle it. It was too busy, too cramped. Now, they'd had, this was their something anniversary. So it was
10th.
There was 400 people there. It's not as busy as it usually is. I don't know how they can manage that, but they can't do anything about number of people turning up, yeah? again, we'll come on to that. So again, I'm not having a go at anybody. They had a million volunteers there who did brilliantly. They had pacers there for the day, but it tells you how busy it was. The pacers that were there, you had like the 27-minute pacer, like 3 minutes ahead of the 24-minute pacer, because everybody, because of the start, just got all out of sync, right? So it was basically carnage. And you couldn't, and it never, you know, some of those park runs are a bit busy at the start, and then it sort of strings out, which is quite nice. And again, you don't mind the busy bit. And then, like Bushy, it's really busy, then it sort of strings out, doesn't it? But it never got like that, and it was all the way. So I stopped anyway. So then it did make me think. I was chatting to one of the volunteers there, who was really nice, and we were just chatting about stuff, and it made me start to think: is it now to the point where parkrun almost is getting too busy? Is it got to the point, because of the popularity of it, which is brilliant, by the way? So I'm going to put a caveat to everything we're going to say about tonight. We love parkrun. We love everything it stands for. And we love the fact that all these amazing people turn up every week for free in their own time and put this on. Okay. So I'm just going to caveat everything we're talking about. But logistically, it's a bit of a nightmare, because if you end up like we did at a place that's celebrating a milestone or something like that, or that like we do as a club, we always pre-warn them that they were coming so we can supply volunteers. But as you know, if a load of tourists turn up, you're going to swell the numbers, and it's not something they may be used to. That's going to put pressure somewhere if the environment that they're running in can't handle it.
Look at Jesmond for Great North as well.
Right, exactly. Or what's the one we'll call at Birmingham? Bruton Park. Yeah. Same thing, national running show, swells. They kind of aware of that it's coming, but it's impacting. So that's what got me thinking about: is it getting too busy?
Yeah, my gut reaction when you said this story is, obviously I wasn't there, so I don't know.
No. Again, just so Wilco, be absolutely clear, I'm not criticising the park run. Cassidy, I think it's a brilliant park run. RD there, brilliant. Volunteers, brilliant. So this is not a criticism.
I did have a bit of a dig around the figures actually to see what the attendances were last week, and there were 764 people at that park run on Saturday. When
Cassidy,
yeah, and their average is 390.
Yeah,
so they've got almost double the number of people that they've usually got. So, and I mean, Trentham Gardens was the 10th biggest attended. Bushy obviously was top. They had 1,400. Trentham Gardens was 10th on the list with 797. So so Canterbury would have been about 15th probably in the list, something around there.
Yeah.
And there were 799 park runs last week.
Yeah.
So 785-ish would have had less than that. So I think you had a bit of bad luck because it was a celebratory one. It just happened to be like that. So I don't think, there are plenty. There were 10 park runs that had less than 30 people.
Okay, so stop there, Wilco, for a second, because this now brings me on to an interesting point. Because just to update everyone, we're going to stop the poll. So I asked people, are they getting too busy? Yes said was 47% said they're getting too busy, and the 53% said no. Now I'm going to read you just some of the comments, because some of them I can't put out, but some of them were quite interesting. Okay. One question. Depends where you go. I know park runs in Nottinghamshire where they'll only have 80 runners. Others, there'll be 400. He's lucky to be living outside, so he has the ones that are a little bit spaced out, so it's not an issue for him. Somebody wrote, not if you don't race it, in terms of the impact. So if the amount of people, if you're not racing, it doesn't really bother them. Depends on the venue and how the RD volunteers organise the start. Some stagger the start based on your estimated start-finish time, which is loads better and doesn't create a bottleneck at the start. Now, I've seen that at Bruton. They put you in at Birmingham one time. They put you in sort of, you try and go into where your sort of estimated finishing time was. That was quite cool.
Which is also like if you've got pacers, obviously that's a bit of a guide as well, isn't it? Because
although
generally,
generally,
right. Hang on. This is one of my favourite ones. It's a no from me. Purely, no, they're not too busy. Purely because it's giving so many people access to a sport that we all love for free. providing a safe environment to do it in two with amazing volunteers and marshals. If parkrun started limiting numbers and adding booking systems that makes it the same as any other race, then everyone will moan that they can't get into their local event, and it'll just be a nightmare. If it's busy and annoys you, just remember how many parkruns you've turned up as a newbie or a tourist. I thought that was a brilliant comment, but this is the one that made me think about the next point I wanted to talk about. You probably know where I'm going to go when I name the parkrun. This person, my local is Battersea.
Wait.
I've stopped going because it's too busy and full of people who take it far too seriously. My husband had to confront some lycra, they put a word in there, who were taking the mickey out of slow runners' pace as they overtook them. Now, that's very, very sad to hear. And I've had another similar sort of comment. It's too busy. There's a lot of more judgment of slower runners and people walking, with instances of harassment, shoving, etc. That's from two people. So it's a little bit. I think you've got the positives and the sensible stuff about hunting out less busy ones, and and we don't want to paint everything with the same brush. But it is a little bit worrying to hear some of that stuff. I think Battersea's a special case to a degree, like a bit like Bush, because it's in the middle of London. It's very touristy. People turn up and go, "Oh, I'm going to go parkrun," and then they descend on Battersea.
And it's exceptionally flat.
Yeah,
it is so flat, and like people, I did. We went there and did. It was for Gemma and Marks. They were doing finishing all the ones in London, and that was the last one we did. We did there. I did just over. It was 2 laps. I did just over half an hour, about 31 minutes. And people were overtaking me, lapping me, because they're lads there and they are rapid. They're bombing it.
Al, you've been at Battersea, haven't you?
Yeah, I was at the same event, Mark. So Battersea is a new event. As you said, it's right smack. It's probably one of the most central for London. So it is going to attract people for that reason alone. Interestingly, I found Battersea, like I was running similar pace to Wilco. Their organisation I thought was pretty good, given the number of people they had that day, 800 or 900. My frustration is when you wait 20 minutes to get across the line and you've got that dilemma. Back to Strava, do I stop my watch? I've stopped running, but I'm waiting to get across the finish line. Didn't have that. They seemed well organised. They had, they'd finished their finish line was well managed. So I think it does come down to, as someone said in your comments, the quality of the RDs and the quality of the marshals to manage those situations when they expect them to come. I think Battersea, they've got to get used to that. That's just going to be a recurring problem. But then there's other park runs that have got a special occasion or, are on the tourist map. They have to think about how they manage that. And some park runs now are putting out those messages, certainly the new ones. Give us a few weeks. We know you want to come and visit us. Give us a few weeks to settle down. It's interesting. One that we've been to, Ingerbourne. We know the race director there, the run director. Sorry, it's not a race.
Yeah.
She's a FORDY.
Yeah.
And they did a deal with the local pub, so people can park and use the toilets. The pub had to pull that within a couple of weeks, and it was really frustrating because, unfortunately, parkrun etiquette, some people were just using and abusing the situation. And I think that's the challenge, isn't it? Is Parkrun HQ have got to think about perhaps getting some stronger messaging out there about the etiquette, because you're right, it's not right that faster runners abuse the slower runners. That should never happen. And those that are doing it, it needs someone to pull them up and go, "Oi, that's just not on. That's not what this is about." Because remember, 2 years ago, Parkrun introduced park walking. That was an attempt to increase access. It will increase numbers. And actually, on the Parkruns HQ, they celebrate the fact their average time is getting slower and slower and slower. And that's a sign, that's one of their KPIs of a successful initiative. We're increasing access to a wider range of people. But it does create problems, And
I think what you just said, that is brilliant in terms of the fact that it's more reach. Ben, where are you on this? I mean, you was a Cassionbury, but I mean, I'm not using that as an example, as a bad example, because that was a one-off, and that was more my issue and the way I'm built than there. That was actually 90% me. Okay, so again, but it made me
and that was a special circumstance.
Yeah,
and look, and I think I'm looking at Gemma's comments. You know that some park runs are more competitive, and generally most people are fine. But New Year's Day, I went to Rickmansworth. Me and PB were running. It was 3 laps of the lake. I think we were on lap 2, and we were lapping someone, and there was one of the front runners who were on their final lap, and literally shouted at us to get out of their way, and that they were coming through. And myself and PB, we were just like, well, but we're also overtaking someone, and we're doing it in a very nice way. We're not trying, it's just we're having our time. And you almost, and it wasn't even a please or anything like that. It was literally like, and I don't consider, we were having a lovely day out just on New Year's Day. So I think some of it comes down to that element. Casabri on Saturday, yeah. The RD had said, if you're not overtaking, keep to the right. And actually everyone had said that. Everyone heard him, because he was like, running on the right, overtaking on the left. And as soon as people saw, and the trouble is, it was busy. No one was listening. And so you do end up kind of weaving a little bit. And it does. And it's almost that thing of, I think they did try their best. And it was, and they did put on a great, it was a great event. But I think sometimes it does come around to other people who were there and their etiquette. I remember, our Gunpowder almost got clipped going into the finish funnel, because this guy was just trying to overtake me as I was slowing down going into it. And I think you need to remember people need to remember what the ethos of parkrun is. To Al's point, it's not a race. If you're going out and time trialing it, great. If that's what you want to do, but be respectful of everyone else who is around and doing it.
That's the key word. It's the key word. It's respect. It don't cost anything, does it?
Yeah, but I think this is actually a separate topic. That is the etiquette that Al, I think, rightly said, and actually that kind of makes me think about something else. I'll come on to Al, in terms of how to improve parkrun. Al, we'll drop into that, about stuff like that. So improving the messaging around etiquette. But I think there's actually 2 separate issues. My thought process, because I think the etiquette thing you can sort of box off and discuss separately. My thought process is more like, running is so popular, right? I'm now seeing parkrun alternatives getting popular on Saturdays. So there's the one that's sponsored by Gymshark, which seems to be a younger crowd. Parkrun, I think, are missing a whole generation of runner at the moment. That's clear to me, from the popularity of these other events. They are missing a generation. I think that's something they need to address in terms of their marketing and the way they're targeting people. But the whole 5K on a Saturday morning is becoming so popular. Running is becoming so popular. It's everywhere at the moment. It will continue to boom for a short to medium term, because so much marketing money is now behind it. Numbers are going to continue to grow, although I've just sort of contradicted myself in terms of we're missing a generation, but more sort of different generation that our generation, let's call it, are coming still into it, which is brilliant as well. So this is all good stuff, by the way, the numbers are increasing. But how the hell do you manage it? Because go on now.
No, I was just going to say, it's actually parkrun's strategy to double the number of events and double the number of runners over the next, I think, till 2030. So in the UK, there's on average about 800 events and about 200,000 runners. So they want to double that. There will be some cannibalization when parkruns pop up close to each other, but it also creates a different kind of demand on the number of volunteers. Interestingly, when you drill into some of the stats about why people don't parkrun, Saturday at 9 o'clock is the biggest barrier. It's not about etiquette. It's not about it being a race. It's not about being too fast or too slow. It's just life is busy at 9 o'clock on Saturday for lots and lots of people. So we joke about, wouldn't it be great if you had a Wednesday park run? We could get around our tourist streets so much quicker if we could do a Wednesday one as well. So there's lots of different challenges, but I think the issue for me is about self-regulation. We have got a duty as runners to perhaps pull up some of those bad behaviours when they are impinging and infringing on the enjoyment of everyone. And I'm not suggesting we go out there and be outright confrontational, but most people perhaps don't even realise they're being, as bad as they are when they're doing what they're doing. And perhaps a quiet word every now and again may just may hold a few back next time. Maybe that's just a bit optimistic, but
I did shout after the person.
Yeah,
me and Petra did shout at them.
But again,
if I was fast enough, I'd chase after them, but that wouldn't work, would it?
Stay on topic, because as I said, that I've seen a lot of comments about aggravated people and all this sort of stuff, but I don't want to get into that. I want to focus on the numbers and how and where does it stop, and at what point, bless them, does parkrun have to step in and do something? Will there be that point that, because Canterbury, which is brilliant, as you say, Wilco, their numbers, they get roughly a 350, 300, whatever it is usually. But that is only going to increase, right? But that park, when that risk assessment was done, when that insurance document was signed, when that was set out, was probably a capacity of X, Y, and Z. But now you're running on paths that are maximum take 3 people. Plus, you've got other park users who we are told, and rightly so, to give right of way to, and to respect and to look after them. If it continues in terms of attendance increasing, which is again all good, by the way, please don't get me wrong here. How the hell do they manage it?
Well, I think what might happen is in many circumstances, if that's the case, the decision will be taken out of their hands, and the landowners will say that you can't do these sort of things. We had this, just up the road from Watford in Tring, when there was the parkrun didn't come back after COVID, because the landowners took the opportunity to think, oh no, actually we don't want these people on here on a Saturday morning. We've not had them for a year. We're having a nice time. Let's get rid of them. I mean, that bucked the trend, obviously, because lots of people wanted to come back. But if it gets to the stage where it gets too big, then the trouble is parkrun cannot. It's almost impossible for them to stop people from coming.
They're in a no-win situation.
Absolutely.
Because if they turned around and said, I know, look at Bushy, the police will only allow us, because they're quite hot, the police, in terms of the royal parks around there. We know that from first-hand experience. The police may come over and go, this is dangerous. There's too many people running on the paths. You have to stop. You can only have, I've got no idea, 2,500 people, which is still a lot of money. Still a lot of people, right? But you could only have 2,500 people. How the hell?
Can't do it, can you?
And they can. So then they go, we're going to have to put a booking system. That defeats the whole object of parkrun. And it's the same.
And then, but then those people who don't go to Bushy, they then go to Nonsuch down the road, and they flood that, and they go there every week, and then that's 2 or 3 times its capacity, and the problem just gets pushed from pillar to post.
And the trouble is, look at like Ben's comment, and this is something that obviously parkrun did, was they got rid of the Nelson challenge, the Fibonacci sequence, stuff like that. So then is the next step, I'm going to say something potentially controversial here, is that you actually scrap the whole this is number whatever event at this, because that's another thing. So the reason why Canterbury was so busy was it's our 10th anniversary. It's a big celebration, and people, and that's great. It's been going for 10 years, but then that encourage, almost parkrun don't necessarily want people to flood there. But then if you're celebrating and saying, "Hey, look, this is our," then you're inviting people to come.
I know.
And it's almost, do you know what I mean? And then you're putting out, look at Bushy on its 1,000th one, Al. Like remind me, kind of like
August
last year, where it took like a year to get through the finisher funnel.
20th anniversary and 1,000 parkruns in short.
And you look at how I can't remember how many people kind of went to that. But if you're not tracking those sorts of things, then actually,
okay, look, I tell you what, right? You're the CEO of parkrun. You've had all this money coming from ibuprofen gel that I keep hearing on the radio that they're getting paid for now. They're getting loads and loads of money coming at them, which is brilliant, because obviously that's going into setting up these new parkruns and whatnot. That's great news. Al, you've got all that money from Vitality, Brooks, everybody. You've got cash in your pockets and you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
How do you solve the potential Titanic iceberg hitting moment when too many people start going parkrun?
I would go down the route of actually encouraging more celebrations, because what tends to happen is we all, if you're in those parkrun Facebook groups, the news goes up about something happening, whether it's a birthday, anniversary, a milestone, or whatever, and we flock. But actually, if there were more celebrations, if there was more, you'd disperse some of those big crowds. So it's like, give me a problem where I could go to 4 different ones, rather than the one. If there's 4 that I'm targeting. And I think we're actually doing that with our county challenge, ironically.
Yeah.
Where we're seeing, so if you're not aware, within 40 runs, every week we designate a county where we want our runners to go and attend a park run. And what we're seeing is that people are voting with their feet and hitting 10 or 12 or 15 different park runs in that county, rather than going to the big one and the obvious one. And I think that's part of the solution is just, rather than try and regulate it, kind of encourage it in a different way and just get people to be bolder and tourist more and target the smaller ones, but put the support out for the RDs and the marshals. And I think what worked really well at Ingerbourne, from what I could see, was that the core team at Bushy got involved, and we know some people that were there to help kind of take them through those first few weeks, to reassure them about what's going to happen, what might happen, and build the confidence. Because I think we touched on it right at the start. Quite often it's influenced by the personality and the characteristics of the RD team, the core team. So work with them to build their confidence. And if they're confident, it shouldn't be a problem. The one I'm going to draw reference to was a trip to Sweden. I'm not sure I pronounced it right. Vaxjo, Vaxjo. So if you know how to pronounce that, let me know. They normally get 20 runners, 25 runners, but because it was Sweden Day, the national day, and there was 3 park runs in 4 days, 700 people turned up. That was the best day ever. But the core team knew that was going to happen. They'd worked with clubs like us and others that were bringing tourists. They put on a mini festival, and we absolutely loved it because they knew it was going to happen. So celebrate it, embrace it, and work with the teams to do it. There you go.
Yeah, and
That's
as
where
I
I'm
suppose,
spending my money.
going back to my Cassenbury example, because of the sheer volume of people, I wonder if they could have thought about the start. Maybe again, they might be restricted for insurance, or they're not allowed to do this, not allowed to do that, course length, and all that sort of stuff. But as you say, Al, if they're aware that that's something like that's coming, maybe they could sort of adapt. But I don't know. Again, I don't know how these amazing people, how much sort of influence they have in their own parkrun in terms of changing stuff based around the day. So, like as you say, if they know the numbers are going to swell, would they put a funnel in? Would they change the start? I don't know how much license they've got to change stuff. To be honest,
I mean, I'll say something controversial.
Oh, no.
But
are you going to give out your mobile number so you can go dating?
Not again.
Oh.
Parkrun could elect to go completely the other way. You've all got a barcode. What if your barcode didn't work outside 20 miles from your house? What if you could only do your local park run that people always used to do?
I would say that defeats the object.
I'm not advocating this at all. I'm completely playing devil's advocate. That how the hell the parkrun thing? This could be one particular solution that they could elect to do. I'm not saying it's a great idea at all. I think it's a terrible idea. But
here's a
because of the barcode system, that is the only sort of like control that they've got
on people. All right,
on people.
I tell you what, then, in terms of because they've got all this cash coming in from ibuprofen gel. If you had a bottomless pit to spend on technology, and I go back again to you, Al, in terms of the sort of organization experience, where could they spend money on technology to improve to help the RDs and volunteers who are doing an amazing job?
I don't know quite how you do it, but it's got to be RFID readers, isn't it? So it's in effect the same technology you have on any race. That's built into your barcode somehow. It's built into the phone app or whatever. So you don't need an army of marshals kind of doing the old scanning of
Yeah.
the barcodes.
But
you know.
this is
Take
all
that.
this is all at the end, right? That doesn't but that doesn't solve like the problem that we had at Canterbury
Volume.
last week, which
Volume.
is like not
But
saying
no,
that,
but Ben, that could, in some respects, maybe, because people aren't focused on their times. Because if your time starts when you cross the mat, I wouldn't have cared. I mean, I don't really care anyway, as everybody knows. It wouldn't matter if I'd have waited for every single person to start. My time would have started when I crossed
Oh yeah,
that
don't
line.
get me on that being a back of the pack runner.
but then you're
40 seconds to get across the start line when the clock starts at 9 o'clock.
I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Parkrun isn't about time. Like in
No,
theory,
again, you're
parkrun
right.
isn't
You're
about
right.
times, right?
Yeah,
So
fair point.
you
Chris,
still
with
have 700 people there, so on a course that's 3 wide. So I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, there's no wrong answers here.
Chris, with the benefit of hindsight, do you think if you'd have been more familiar with the course, you would have thought, "Oh, it's all going to get bottled up"? Like it sounds a bit like Stevenage, which we've done a few times. So everybody starts thinking, then we all converge down.
No, to be
Now, I
honest,
think if you'd have been a little bit more familiar with it, you'd have thought, "Oh, I ain't going to go back for it today. I'll just hold back and let everybody go, and then just ease into it." Do you think that would have helped?
honestly, if I'd have known that there was going to be that many people there,
You wouldn't have
I
gone.
wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gone because it's my worst nightmare. I hate that. That's just the way I'm wired as a neurodivergent person. That for me is sensory overload, and I can't. I go to run to regulate myself and my emotions and my senses, and my exercise is.
It would be pointless because it would have the opposite
It stops me taking medication, and if I'm unable to exercise and that release is there. And again, you have to remember how my brain works. So on a Saturday morning, so tomorrow, I've already planned out my whole day. I've already planned out my whole weekend because of the way my brain works in terms of the way it's wired. So I've already worked that day out. I've already worked that morning out. I arrive at 8:30 on the button. I ring Ben. I go for a run. I go straight to the toilet I've been to 3 or 4 times because I know it's there, even though I always go up to the wrong bit. I'm then going to do this amount of distance with Ben, and we're going to run at this pace. I already know all this in my mind. I know what time I have to start. I know where I'm going to stand. Ben, be fair, I stand where I stood. There's a good reason why I did that. Yeah. The mud situation threw me out. So I was already unregulated because I was thinking how dangerous it was. And as somebody who works like I do, I'm thinking of the dangers. And I have a very black and white mind that things should be done in a certain way. That for me was not done in the correct way. I'm then in an environment where I can't run. So I'm getting frustrated and I'm becoming unregulated. Unregulation means that for me, I get angry and I get frustrated. That's not, and then I become unregulated, and that emotion has to come out somewhere in my body, and that can come out in multiple different ways. And now that will upset me, and it did upset me. It upset me to the point that I even wanted to discuss it today. So I'm still thinking about the fact that my whole day was ruined in my mind because there was too many people at parkrun. But the difference is where I am as a human being, where I probably was a year ago, through the help of the therapy and things that I do have, I was able to take myself out of that situation.
Yeah.
See, that's the difference. So in hindsight, and again, I know my trigger points. I don't go to the pub after a race. I don't go to various things because I know they're trigger points for me. How I know that that's something that I can't regulate myself at. I take myself out of that environment. I took myself out of that. If I'd have known that was going to be like that, I wouldn't have gone. But again, I'm not trying. This is not me criticizing Caspian. This is me thinking.
No, but it's interesting, mate. It's interesting about how it all ticks, how you all tick along and things like that, and how you.
Well, if you think about it,
you and your situation.
I'll give you a great example of how I work on a race day, if you're interested. But at the Winter 10K, you was there in the morning. The only thing, Ben, you know, you wasn't there because you didn't make the phone.
Again,
did it early.
The only thing that I was interested, you can ask Hayden, was where I was going to put my bag. I must have asked 20 people whether where the route master bus was. I was lucky enough to have my own bag drop, but because I had to go somewhere else at the start because I came to see you guys, I thought I was going straight to Trafalgar Square because I thought, like Ben did, that's where we had to go. in my mind, I'd driven there, I'd parked, I'd been to the toilet I always use, I'd done the walk that I always did, I filmed the bit that I needed to film. I was going straight to Trafalgar Square because I knew where that was and I knew where the bus was. But I didn't. I had to deviate from my plan that I'd made 2 weeks ago. And if you remember, Wilco, all I was doing was walking around in the circle, asking,
Where's the bus? Where's the bus?
Where's the
Where
bus?
did I put
Where's
my
the
bag?
bus?
Where did I
Where's
put
the
my
bus?
bag?
We
Yeah.
did the photo early, mainly because I was hassling Hayden so much because I needed to get to the bus to do
I was
that.
at the bus. You should have come to see me.
Once I'd done the bus, guess what? I was all right.
Hmm.
Because I'd moved. It was transactional. I'd done the bus, dropped my bag off, that is. I'm then in the pen. Start the race. Thank you very much.
Away we go.
And that's how my neurodivergent, brain functions. So that's an insight into somebody on race day. And it's a wider subject to talk about how people deal with anxiety and panic and all those neurological ways on these environments. But for me, as somebody who's neurodivergent, parkrun is always a celebration because I can go out and run. But I do see it from afar and say, it's getting a bit busy. So Hayden invited me to Battersea. I went, no, thanks. Because I knew that I know I won't be able to handle that situation. And it's the same with, and if I'd known about Cassenbury, I simply wouldn't have gone. But it does make me wonder that tail walkers, people who are going there and are doing park walking, people with push chairs, and that sort of thing, how are they going to cope if the numbers keep swelling? I don't know the answer. You tell me.
Well, yeah, well,
True,
the proof's going to be the pudding. We're just going to have to wait and see, aren't we?
Al, any final thoughts on it?
Yeah.
The irony is,
Yeah.
well, it's not irony. There is something called the 5K app, and it's often known as the Purple app. And if you're into your tourism, it's a godsend. But actually, it provides, and I think the technical term is it scrapes information from Parkrun's own databases. Now, they don't publish it, but actually you can find out the course. You can find out how many average runners how many runners per week on average.
Yeah.
There's lots of average runners, but you know what I mean? Whether it's a big one, whether it's a small one, it will tell you where the toilets are. It will tell you where to park. And if you need that information, that's all there in the app, and it allows you to plan. So, like you, Chris, if you say in 2 weeks' time I want to be doing a run in this area, you can go in and take that kind of responsibility to say, for myself, am I making the right decisions? Because that information does exist,
but
it's just not there within the parkrun
this is the
database,
thing.
easily accessible.
It doesn't give you. So just on again, I'm playing devil's advocate here, and I take responsibility for last week. I knew it was their 10th anniversary, but I didn't think it would be that busy. But it would.
And it's taken 58 minutes to say that.
Yeah,
Can I just put out there saying 58 minutes hasn't apologised? Yeah, carry on.
But averagely, Cassenbury has 350 people. So if we looked at that in advance, right? And Chris only went there. You only went there 2 or 3 weeks
I was going to say,
ago,
and
right?
I loved it, and I still love it. Honestly, I still think it's a brilliant park run.
But that information about being all on grass and it's been a really wet week, you could reasonably work out it's going to be a bit muddy and a bit slippy. And you see conversations going, I'm going to avoid that one this week because it's going to be a mud fest. So there is information out there to inform park runners to make the best decisions they can. And it's never going to be perfect. For, as you said, a birthday celebration, everyone turns up.
Al, this is where I take a little bit of offence with parkrun. Again, love parkrun, love them. Okay, no problem with them. Why is it that all that information is on a third-party app when they've got
shoulders,
deep pockets, ibuprofen gel on the radio?
The rumours are they will buy that app at some point.
They need to, because the thing is, right, I go on to... So Ben says, I said to Ben, we're going parkrun this weekend. Oh, we're going to go to, I don't know, Tooting, where Darren and his teeth are going on Saturday, right? I'll go on to parkrun. I go, parkrun, blah, 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 blah. The first thing I'm doing, by the way, is I'm looking if there's a toilet there. Think about my brain. Think about how Wilco, now you have an insight. I need to know where the toilets are. I need to know where this is. I need to know. Already did think about my exit strategy. How long could it be there? Everything. Then I go on to see how long it takes me to get there. I have to plan out my thing. That information that's on there is not the easy. You have to go through the courses thing. You have to do all this. I've got, again, no patience because the way I am. that should flash up as soon as I start. I open that page up. It should smack me in the face and go, "This is the course. This is where the toilets are." Like, yeah, this is the sort of starty thing. Maybe some feedback from some runners on there. Keep it nice, people, because remember, everyone does it volunteering. Be nice. And then all the essential stuff on the front page. Landing page gives you all the essentials, and it's on an app, and it's called the Parkrun app, and your barcode's on there, and it's all there.
Don't give them ideas. They'll start selling us Facebook-style meta sunglasses with all that information as soon as you hit the start line. Boom, there you go.
Also,
£250 a pop.
Sorry. One thing that I always do, whenever we go, like if we're going on Extreme Park, I go somewhere different. First thing I do, I type X Parkrun into YouTube. There's always someone who has run round with a camera.
Hayden, the same.
Yeah, there's always someone there who has run the course. So you're looking out the road, and and it's rained for 3 days, and you see this course, and it's around a load of football pitches. Then you think that ain't going to be for me this week. I'll wait until we've had a couple of weeks to try.
But my point, Wilco, was more the fact of that information's out there on this third-party app. Why isn't Parkrun doing that?
Yeah,
and that's not again a dig at them. I'm just it's a question, right? It's like that's just one way to help in terms of I don't know, newbies who imagine a newbie turns up the backseat, they'll go, "What the hell is this?" And then they go to Berkeley and they go, "Oh, never go." You know what I mean?
Need a maths degree.
104 people went to Berkeley last Saturday.
The absolute heroes they are. They should all have. When you finish Berkeley, you should be given a cape as a memento to say that you've got. I just want to pick up because Alf's always causing controversy. Is being deliberately thing in the comments. 40. You've run London Marathon so many times. And I'm answering this for my neurodivergent friends. Pending, it's like I make this stuff up. Pending with 50,000 runners by 5 people deep. Alf, I've done London Marathon 6 or 7 times, whatever it is. I go to the same start pen every time. I have my own routine. I know exactly what I do. I actually go into the yellow. What is it called? Not yellow start. What is it, Ben? We go in?
Oh, I can't remember. Was it blue? Did we do blue?
Whatever one it is, where there's less people, is the one I go in. Watch the last 2 videos. You'll see exactly what I mean. And I sit by the railings and I talk to Al, who's doing the bags behind me. Al, fair point.
Yeah, you do shout out to the bag team.
So I sit there on my own. So take your narky comments and stick them where the sun don't shine. Anybody else got anything positive to say? No?
Yeah, I'm celebrating
tomorrow. Yeah.
I did my first 200-mile month.
Hey.
Well done, Wilco. 200 miles, that's a lot.
Was any of that walking?
Yeah, how much of that was you walking? How much was you walking Ben's dog?
Nada.
Who's dog?
Nothing. Nothing. So I'm I'm quite proud of that.
Good, no, good for you. Boys, Al, are you going down to see Darren's teeth in Tooting?
No, I'm heading to Iffield Mill Pond for my eye. Another eye.
Oh,
I
don't understand any of that. But I do like Paul's comment. Darren Burrow's dad's the tooting tooth. But we're not allowed to mention it because Hayden's not in. It's him who bullies him. Ben, where are we tomorrow to tell our fans?
We're going Gunpowder.
Yeah, we're going. Well, no, sorry, we're going McDonald's. That happens to be near Gunpowder, and we might do a 5K run.
Possibly if we get out of McDonald's.
Yeah. Wilco, what did you say you're doing?
I've got 8 miles tomorrow.
Okay. And everybody else, we're at the Chelmsford Half Marathon on Sunday, influencing. Doing a lot of influencing down there. So hope to see some of you guys and girls. Are you racing or doing anything this weekend?
It's Brighton Half as well. So there's a few of us heading down to the south coast. Fires and hotels collapsing permitting. So in the middle of the week, one of the main roads that take most of the runners out and back was closed because of a fire at a hotel. But we've been reassured the race will go ahead and the road will be open.
Oh, so sounds rather dangerous. And don't forget, people, volunteering, get involved. 40 runs. We want you some more people on t-shirts at the finish line. Drop us an email, hello@gmail. No, what is it? hello@40runs.com. And Motive as well. We've got volunteering spaces at Hackney
Half. It's the next one.
Hackney Half is the next one for them, and they do some other cool events. I think Oxford's one of theirs. And,
yes.
Sockney 10K is another one of theirs. Blenheim, where Ben and I are going to be doing it. The whatever it's called, the biking thing and the thing. We've got to do that in the summer with no training. So they do that as well. So make sure if you want to get involved in the volunteering, honestly, it's brilliant. And as I said, for a runner to see your mates out on course, like I don't get to see out, but to see other people that I know from the community club, it's brilliant. I love it when you guys are giving out medals or t-shirts because you're already pumped up from finishing the race. Ben's like probably just walking because he's like, they're walking all the time now. But you come through and you see all your mates. It's brilliant, isn't it? It's just one of the best feelings in the whole world when you get given your medal by one of your friends. It's fantastic. So make sure you get involved with that. Right, I'm back live on Monday. If you want to join me on Monday for the live stream at 8 o'clock. We're back next week. As always, we don't know what we're going to be talking about. We could be talking about what? Wilco, you got any ideas what you want to talk about next week?
Am I on next week?
I got no idea.
I think
I
it's
don't know.
Wilco.
Did we? Yeah, but I don't know. I think I'm probably on next week.
All right.
I don't know.
What do you think we should talk about?
Park run etiquette. Yeah.
No. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, we shall see you all next week. Say bye, boys.
Bye.
Cheers,
Bye, boys.
everyone.